Welcome to Module 1 of the Award of Excellence training program that we've put together for you. We're pretty excited to be able to share this today. My name is Linda Osip. I'm the Executive Director of CAMEX, and joining me is Julie Draycott. She's a Senior Account Manager with Ipsos, which is the company that we work with in coordination with the program, and she's actually been working with the Award of Excellence program for 19 years. So you're in very good hands with Julie, that's for sure. So just to let you know what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about choosing the clients, filling in the CPS form. We're going to introduce you to the web portal, and we're going to do that online so that you can see it. We're going to go right through a CPS form. We're going to talk about how to update information during the program. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the timeline from start to finish and where your expectations should be in sharing the information with your team. So, an overview is the Award of Excellence program. It provides you with a tool that you need to assure the professional level of quality that your clients are demanding. And of course, you're doing some wild and wonderful things for your clients, and they demand an awful lot. So again, it is a mystery call program. It's an opportunity for your call center agents to be evaluated by an independent panel of judges over a 6-month period. And I think the independent panel is the key here because all of you are doing your own call monitoring and QA. But the independent arm's length testing of an outside source is very, very important. And so the calls are conducted based on the client profile information that you provide to us when registering to participate in the program. Choosing the clients, this is a task that really needs to be given to a staff member that's very knowledgeable about the accounts, and also that staff member has the ability to dedicate the appropriate amount of time for this task. It does take some time, and the new system is very effective and efficient with your web portal, but it certainly does take time. Also, in choosing 12 different clients to participate, we don't want these to be a test of your easiest accounts. This is a test of overall quality assurance with any type of client that you answer for. And when you provide the information to us, we want to make sure that we get as much as possible in relation to each of those clients. So really, again, it takes a lot of time and understanding, and the information the agent might ask the caller during any time during the call, that all has to be provided for us. So in your sample messages, which we're going to go through, you're giving us a lot of sample zip postal codes, city, state, province, and the area codes that the callers are from, where the caller is. And providing information when it's a medical account, for example, sometimes with the name of the doctor, we don't know if it's a male or a female. And you want to tell us their specialty or if they're a GP. With rural addresses and crossroads for the customers that are there, we want, again, as much information as possible, unit names, unit numbers, cities, counties, and also directions if necessary, if that's what the agent is going to be asking for. So these are two types of clients that should never be a part of our program. And the first one is if it's automatically patched, because we're going to talk to your clients instead of your agents. And then, of course, you may have clients that you don't really take a full message. There isn't a scripting back and forth. It's that the agent is really just referring information or another number. So those are just not good candidates for the Award of Excellence program. So filling in the CPS forms, with this task, what's very, very important is that there's an adherence to the deadlines. The tests are over a 6-month period, but there's a front end and a back end that has to be supported for time. And so there's the registration, there's the deadlines for that, and then we have to create the web portals. And if these deadlines are not met, the calls are not launched on time. And we want to make sure, again, that we have a full 6 months of testing. So make sure that the task whoever's given this task, again, has the time to meet these deadlines. Many of you are participating in more than one Award of Excellence program. It could be with different associations or user groups. And I know that you have to fill in a lot of these forms, but do not copy and paste messages or and using clients from other programs. It is very apparent to your agents. They're very, very smart, and they will figure that out quick, fast, and in a hurry if you're using the same clients over and over again. And of course, for this to be a legitimate test, we want to make sure that you're using different clients all the time. So now we're going to move into some input from the callers, and I'm going to hand this over to Julie actually, because she has more insight information from the caller side. Julie?
Great, thanks, Linda. So it's very, very important that you provide all the information that our callers need in the CPS form. You want to set up your agents for success, and you don't want there to be confusion during a call. So we've had input from callers who have said that there's not enough detail in the sample messages. They're asked for a street, a name, or a county or a city, and it's not in the CPS form, so they stumble and they don't know what to say. The callers need to know a detailed reason for the call. You don't want to be vague for what the message is about. You want it to be specific and have good detail. Our callers have commented to us that they have gotten asked questions that they do not have answers for. For example, a hospital related call, and they might be asked for the floor number, or they're calling a doctor's office for a prescription refill, and the agent will ask them what the prescription is for, or what drugstore do they want the prescription sent to. So if that's not in the CPS form, the caller doesn't know what to say and stumbles and has to try to make up something on the spot. And also with respect to emergency calls, we need to know the proper close instructions, when to deliver the test message when there's an emergency related call, because we don't want to wait too late and the agent has maybe dispatched the message to an on-call person and it's an emergency. So we want to avoid that.
That's great. And just to add to that, again, you're very, very familiar with your clients, and so sometimes you get caught up with the abbreviations and acronyms that are common to you or medical lingo. So again, make sure that you're speaking to us like you're kindergartening us through this. Our callers are making thousands of calls right across North America. So make sure that we are very, very trained in what your particular clients are looking for and their needs. So we're going to go into how to fill in the CPS forms, but just to let you know, again, you're registered for the program, then we get a full participant list, and then we are creating on the back end all of those web portals, and then each of you is given your instructions for your CPS homepage, and then there's step by step in filling all of the CPS forms out. So now I'm actually going to hand this over to Julie. I'm going to stop sharing, Julie, so that you can share your screen with everyone and step by step for them through the CPS form.
Great. Okay, so here is an example of a CPS form homepage. So your CPS homepage will be personalized to your call center and the client codes, the codes that you were given as part of the program. So you'll see your call center name at the top of the form, the city, state, and country associated with your call center, and then you will see your 12 CPS forms. So when you're ready to fill out a CPS form, you simply click on the link. So you start with the first one, and now you can start entering in the information. So the first question is the client name. So you want to make sure you're entering in the correct client name that is associated with the client code and the DID number associated with that client. You'll enter in a sample postal or zip code for that client. You'll enter in 2 key staff names or specific departments. So this is any, for example, doctors' names or key staff names, departments that could be asked of the callers during the call. If that information is not in the sample message, the caller can easily scroll up here in the CPS form and get the name and state that during the call. So we're going to need you to enter in the DID number associated with this client. And this will be a 10-digit number with no spaces or characters in the number. And you won't put the number 1 before the area code. So it'll be simply 10 digits. You'll enter in the client's phone number. And now in this text box, we need you to enter in sample city, state, province, zip, postal code, and area codes that are serviced by this client. So these are the areas where a typical customer lives who would be calling this client. And we need you to enter in the correct time zone where the client is located. This is the time zone a caller would be calling from. So if you're answering the phone for a client in California, for example, you and the customer would be living in California, you would select Pacific Standard Time. So for this example, we've selected Eastern Time Zone. If there are call types for specific times you answer that are different, you could put a note here so our callers know. And if there aren't, you would just simply enter in NA. And then now we need to know the specific hours and time frames that the caller needs to call the call center for this client. So we need to know weekday hours. So if your call center answers the phone for this client Monday to Friday between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m., you would enter that in there. So then our callers know they will place this call after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will also let us know what time frame our callers can call the call center on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So for example, if you answer 24 hours on Saturday, you would enter that in here and our callers will know when to place their call.
And to add to that, Julie, we want to test all of the shifts on a 24/7. We don't test in during the nighttime in the shift, but it's from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern is when our callers are making the calls. But for you to select out of 12, if in this example, we would only be making the calls after hours. And so we would never be testing your morning and afternoon shifts here during the week. So out of the 12, please select 4 that are going to be into your day shift and tell us that. Afternoon shift, and of course in the evening. And if you answer for a client 24/7, 7 days a week, even if it's 24/7, don't fill 24 hours in. Just choose for us to make the calls between 7 a.m. and 12 noon, for example, or 12 noon to 5. And then from, again, 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning for those other 4 clients. It just gives the callers an indication. If you leave it up to them, then they'll be calling whenever they're scheduling their own calls. But if you give them direction, then we'll make sure that we cover all of your shifts.
Right. And we also need to know the type of business. So the caller is familiar with the type of company that they're placing the call for. So you would enter that into this text box. And then we also need to know the specific script that your agents are trained to state for the live answer, live greeting, and also for the auto answer, auto greeting. Please make sure you enter in the correct script because these fields are how the judges score those questions in the survey. So, you want your agents to succeed. So please make sure you enter in the correct live answer and the correct answer, auto answer phrases. Okay, and now we're going into the section that's about the message requirements. So you're going to need to indicate to us what is a preferred tone of voice or attitude the agent is to portray during the call. And what you enter into this box is how the judges score the tone of voice question. So you want to make sure that it is accurate. So it could be, friendly and interested. Or if it's the case of a client that's a funeral home, maybe the agents are instructed to be more solemn or whatever the specific tone is. Just please make sure to enter that in correctly in this box. And for the basic message requirements, so these are the basic requirements that the agent is trained to ask for when they're taking down the message. So just click on the fields that are relevant to this client. If there's anything that they are required to ask, but it's not in this list, you can click on other and a text box will pop up and you can type in what else is required. For example, maybe they're required to ask for an email address. And what you check off here is very important as well, because these fields are how the judges score the message requirement question in the survey. So we also have a box for specialized information, and this is where you can indicate anything extra or specialized that is relevant to this client that you want our judges to know. So for example, are the agents allowed to use local expressions, regionalisms, or slang that is common in the area and acceptable for your clients? You would indicate that here. Any customer expectations, for example, is the agent to state to the caller that they are part of the message center? You can tell us the typical types of callers that call for this client. For example, with the plumbing company, the callers could be new customers or existing customers. You could indicate the typical reasons customers would be calling this client. And then also any specific information if, for example, the surname is not required. For example, hospital personnel maybe they only provide their first name, but the agent is expected to repeat back the last name of the patient that the hospital personnel is calling about. Or if the surname is not required to be asked for this particular client, you can indicate that here, and then the judges will know to answer NA for that question in the survey that is relevant to repeating back the spelling of the surname. You'll enter in the closing script that you expect your CSRs to follow or the criteria that must be met by the closing that they give. If you have a specific closing script that the agent must say word for word, you would indicate there. If it's a more general closing phrase, please let us know that here as well. For example, maybe the closing is some type of friendly salutation, which could be thanking the caller or wishing them a good evening, and then advising them what will be done with the information. What you put in this box is how the judges score the closing phrase question in the survey. And then lastly, we have 2 boxes for you to enter in 2 different sample messages. And we ask that you can copy and paste 2 different message transcripts and change the personal information. But as we mentioned before, please ensure that all necessary information is listed in these sample messages. Anything that could potentially be asked of the caller during the call. The callers start their call with the reason for the call. So they go to the sample message. They see what you've written here for the reason of the call, and that's how they start the call. So you don't want it to be vague. You want it to be good detail, so that will allow the agent to do a good job and ask them all the relevant questions. So for example, with this plumbing company, this is a specific reason for the call. The caller would say they're calling because they have a burst pipe under the sink and need emergency service. If you had written the reason for the call simply as, hi, I'm calling because I need to speak to someone, that's very vague and could cause dead air, could cause confusion with the agent, and this is what we want to avoid. So you'll provide 2 different sample messages, and that's great for us. If at any time you maybe need to pause and stop filling out the CPS form and work on it later, you just simply click on the Save for Later button. But if you're done, and everything's filled out, I mean, you can go through it again and look through it, make sure everything is good and you've provided all the information that we need. Then you click on Finish the Survey, and this will bring you back to the home page. And when you've finished a survey, you will see completed besides that particular code, and you will see the date and time when you finished the survey. If you see the word started, that means you started working on the CPS form and you saved it and you haven't finished it yet. So maybe you forgot to click on finished and you clicked on saved instead. You're going to want to double check and make sure, that when you believe that you have finished filling out all your surveys, go back to your homepage and just confirm that you see completed listed for all of your CPS forms. And when you see available, that means you haven't started filling it out yet. And I'm just going to end on the importance of updating your CPS forms in a timely manner. So if you have any clients that you no longer answer the phone for whatever reason, we need you to go into that CPS form and update the information as soon as possible because these are live links and we want the callers to have the most up-to-date information right away for placing the call.
And another tip for when you're filling in the sample messages, instead of having to make everything up yourself, one of the tips is to go into your system and go into whatever client that you're using, and just go in and get two messages, two real messages out of the account, and simply change up the last name and the last four digits in the phone number. And that is an easy way to do it. You're getting reality-based messages instead of trying to make them up. The other thing, again, in importance, not only for if the client leaves you or you've turned them off, let's say for non-payment, to be able to fill in another client right away. And again, if there's an information change, and in particular, the ones that really are a heartache for me when I hear about it after the fact is an answer phrase change. If the answer phrase has changed and the CPS form, which is client profile sheet, is not updated right away, the agent is going to get 0 out of 5, and it's not their fault. So that's where it becomes that team effort to make sure that you're setting everybody up for success. And if the person who's in charge of the program is away for an extended period of time, for example, that there's a backup, that someone else has access to this. And this web portal is live, as Julie said. It's in real time. So as soon as you make that change and you save it again to complete status again, it's immediate and we have it right away. So we'll go back, Julie, if you would like to stop sharing, and I'll go in and get this presentation back up again here. So that was good coverage for you there. Thank you, Julie. So to really just reiterate some of the timeline, the registration launch and deadline, again, reminding of these deadlines is very important so that we can keep on track, start and end the calls when we need to do it. And once the registration is done, we get the participant list, the web portals are created, the instructions are given to the person who is in charge of the program. And that, again, keeping track of the changes and updates during the program is critical for, again, the success of your agents. And then also as a reminder that the scoring criteria should be available and visible at all times. I find sometimes that at the launch of the program, there's excitement, there's some great ideas for launching, and everyone can see the scoring criteria, and then it's kind of filed away somewhere. And of course, a lot of you agents, your agents are remote, so make sure that they have access to that information. I find sometimes that 2 or 3 months into the program and an agent gets a call and it's like, oh yeah, and it shakes them up a little bit. What are we being tested on again? Keeping it positive, your listservs, for whether your associations or your user groups, these are people that have great ideas. So, and you know what's good for your personality, for your culture in your own call center. So, keeping it positive and fun is a good way to kick it off. And then lastly, we just want to make sure that you check in with your staff for undue stress. And the stress goes both ways. The seasoned staff who've been through many of these programs, sometimes they can get a little complacent. So make sure that they're engaged and on board with everything. And of course, your new staff members that come in, it's hard enough for them to train on all the things they have to train on the system and all of your clients and all of their needs. And they are being tested by their own supervisors. Their calls are pulled, they go through QA with them and they analyze the call recordings, etc. And then to be told that they're going to be tested by independent judges that they don't know and they don't see, sometimes that can really cause some undue stress. So keeping it positive right through the program and also making sure that everyone is very much aware. I think that keeping people motivated, a big part of that is making sure that they know the timeline and that they're all engaged and part of it. And Julie and I wish you all the success in this program and hope that you're going to do very well and that you keep it positive. So thanks for your time.